It says we're live.
Hi, welcome to the StockinetteZombies. I'm Amy, also known as Jay Nitma.
And I'm Megan, also known as Just Run It. And this is episode, I didn't look before we started. 401.
Okay.
Yes. I should have remembered, but it's been a hot minute since we've recorded.
Right.
So
You've had a few things going on.
yeah, just a few. So yeah, spring feels like it has sprung in Minnesota. And then I did some world traveling, which sounds weird to say. It's also weird to say when you're like, oh, I'm happy to be back, right? You're on this dream trip and then you're happy to be back from it. But I don't know. You have to have the at home times to make the travel times exciting as well, right?
Yeah, well, and being away from your home is a certain level of stress, even if it is exciting and wonderful. You're like, oh, now I'm centered again, right? It's not as chaotic or I don't know. I just feel like when I travel, there's this underlying buzz. And then as soon as I'm home again, it settles down again.
Yeah, I can see that. It was so much fun. I completely understand why people are like, I love Paris. Like, it's the city that's easy to love. I had a really great time there. I would highly recommend. So I think I've mentioned it before, but that Kim, which is kind of like the Uber of tourism. So like the guy that booked all of our stuff in Paris and Nantes was from that area. So knew kind of all of it, like our hotel was right near a subway stop. So like we just jumped on the subway and went to, the subway station closest to the Arc de Triomphe. He bought us 3-day subway passes. He bought us the tickets to the all of the stuff so that we didn't have to stand in line to wait. So, like, kind of gave us an itinerary, hooked us up with a really great bike tour in both Nantes and Paris, although it's really scary to ride your bike in Paris. It's kind of like riding your bike in New York City.
Yeah.
A lot of cars, and they are impatient because it's very traffic heavy, right? So they're like, I'm just gonna squeeze in right next to you, and I'm like, but yeah, it was awesome. The food was great. I have a disappointing lack of croissants and fromage in my daily life. The phrase that I've been using, but my HDL thanks me for that, because cheese and buttery, flaky pastries all day, every day, probably not a great for your health life strategy. But while on vacation, awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got a few goodies. I won't show them off because I want to be able to surprise you from like more like less yarn specific. I'll show off the yarn. But yeah, it was just great. It was a trip of a lifetime. Really, again, appreciated that, like, low stress for the person booking it, because we just worked with them and they did it, and then we weren't like, what are we doing, in a city that we didn't know, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you're like, well, we want to travel around. What's the best way to do that? I was like, oh, subway passes, we'll buy those. And yeah, I'm assuming, gosh, I might look them up just for domestic travel.
Yeah. No, I mentioned that as well to Jeremy. I was like, that might be great just for domestic travel. And then it's just like one price, right? So again, our hotel was awesome. We were on the top floor with like a skylight that opened, and you could stick your head out and you could see the Eiffel Tower, which was amazing, to be on that level and to be able to see it. It was really far away. We were like in the theater district, but to have that view, right? You're like, okay, he knew that if he booked us on the top floor at this hotel, we would be able to see the Eiffel Tower, right?
Right.
So it was pretty awesome. Can't say enough about that. We may have lucked out, but it feels like that's the sort of service that they provide, right?
So, okay, cool. So Uber for travel.
Yeah. Nice. Kim, which I guess was the first, the name of the owner and the name of the first client. So they decided to call it Kim.
Cute. So Kim used Kim to travel. Okay.
Yep. And it's Kim.
Awesome.
But yeah, I also have really positive things to say about Nantes. It's kind of it made me think of Shayna quite a bit while I was there. It's very like they have buildings that look like nests.
Oh,
And
okay.
I guess they've got an architectural university there. And they're, there's built like the cranes everywhere. They're building, building, building.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, there was some really cool architectural things in Nantes, less of like the older school building, right, that you saw all over Paris, but very modern and cool. Um, I think it's the second most bike friendly community, according to
Okay.
our bike tour guide there. And they used to build the big boat, the big like Carnival cruise ships,
Oh,
big ships, not boats there, because there's the very large river there that goes right out to
mhm.
the west coast. So
Yes. Okay.
I don't
I
they
I
don't do it
believe
in.
I've been there
Oh, really?
on my honeymoon. Yeah.
You went to Knott's? Awesome.
Be sure. Like
Cool.
my brain is like, how's it spelled? Yeah, I think I was there.
Nantes? Knott's?
No, maybe not.
Okay.
No,
That
I
was a
was on the
while
east
ago.
side or south.
But yeah, it was
Yeah.
very cool and artistic. And we went to a Jules Verne inspired mechanical island of the machines is what it was called,
Okay.
which was I kind of thought was going to be more steampunk. It is very steampunk, but it's very whimsical as well. So
Okay.
and then, yeah, you'll see in my favorite things, the La Bien-Aimée had their pop-up going on,
Okay.
which I think was in their store where their storefront was before they,
Moved.
um,
Okay.
yeah, before they moved. So they were just like temporarily back in there, and it was awesome. All of the samples from the new book were
Oh, okay.
hanging there to take a look at, and so much color, so many awesome faces. I did not regret for 1 second that all of my purchases had to be carried around with me through the Louvre. It was like hauling this like bag of yarn
Yeah, I see
with
it.
me
I see it.
everywhere, but I was like, I don't even care. Like I will carry this with me forever. That's how awesome it is.
I see. I see. Fun.
Yeah.
Yep. Well,
So
not much going on here. Got the kiddos, the older is driving a little bit more, which is good. And we even drove to school this morning, and it went great. So more of that in our future.
yeah,
And
the daily, I feel like the daily with
yeah,
when we were doing it with Ellie, yeah, was really what sealed the deal, right? Like, oh yeah, this is just something that I do, like tying my shoes before I go to step out the door, right? Yeah.
yep, yep. And then yeah, just more of the same. The cats are still kind of iffy. Cookie's doing really well, but she's still got her little sores on her arms. So we're trying all sorts of things to try to get her to stop licking them, but it's all temporary because she gets out of it or she rips it off. It's like, come on, kitty, we just want you to get better. And
Mm-hmm.
then Pivot's just still picky about her food. We'll go that route. She has to eat special diet food now, and she doesn't want to eat it. So we're struggling to get her to eat. So she's gotten a lot of tuna the last 2 days because you need to eat something, kitty. What
Yeah.
will you eat?
Yeah.
Um, because as soon as we introduced the new medical food or whatever, she stopped eating the food she used to eat, no problem, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, why did that happen? Like, talk to me. Meow. I'm like, no, I need words. But yeah, she's in good spirits today. And we just noticed that she's just not quite as perky. And so it's kind of like, oh, come on, she's losing her energy by midday. And that's because she's not eating a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's if we go back to the vet and we get another blood draw, we're probably going to be at the same level we left the hospital at, and that's not a good deal. So we did one and it was down slightly. And now we're having trouble eating. So it's like, it's probably going to be just the same again, which is sad. So we might, unless some sort of bounce back happens, like, let's call it a miracle, right? If there's some miracle and she bounces back, great. But right now it's just feeling like we're treating her into her, she feels like she's in hospice for me.
Palliative care.
Yeah. Now
I remember vividly taking Max and Chaz in, separately, obviously. It was at different times, but getting like those where they would put the water underneath the skin, like the IV, right? To make sure that if at least getting water, right?
And she's drinking great, I think that it's just, but that's also a symptom, right? That you're thirsty. And so she's drinking a lot, and we tried to do the saline ourselves last night. We only got 500 in before 50 in before she was like, no. So we're learning. We might be able to get 100 in tonight, we'll hope. And then if we can, then that's great. We'll be able to do that for her on a regular basis to help her feel better. But again, feels like hospice, and we're going to.
Sorry, Amy, that's tough.
Yeah, we're gonna hope for the best, but yeah, it's feeling like we have our hospice baby.
Okay, you want to talk about some yarn?
That might help. We did some drawings though.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. Like, we get to show off. It's not even like, well, some of it's our yarn, because we bought things for ourselves. In addition, we're doing the golden rule: do unto others as you would do unto yourself. Maybe eventually we can get to the platinum rule, which is do unto others for what they want, right? But so this is a little bit of show and share of some of the items that we got. So Amy picked out this DK weight yarn. This is Queen Beaver, which has these lovely speckles, and this is Evil Beaver, which is just this very lovely brown. And she's going to be making something together with them. And I chose the Swanky Sock rather than the Swanky DK, and Boysen Beaver, which is the new color, this one that's kind of got these streaks of gray and kind of a redder brown with the purple, and then a little bit bougie. That I'm going to combine together. But for our craft your own book venture, if you got 3 entries in the first quarter, you can choose one of these skeins. So the only 2 colors that we have available in the DK is this Queen Beaver and the Evil Beaver. And the only 2 colors that we have available on the Swanky Sock is the Boysen Beaver and the little bit bougie. But our winner there, without further ado, is Susan, 3 Little Mittens Knits. So I think that's a new join with us recently. Yep, that I think you drummed up from Instagram. So congratulations, Susan. Just let me know which one of which base, and if you choose sock, which color, and if you could choose DK, which color. So I'll send you a skein.
Yeah. And the new quarter is upon us. So get your entries in, and there's all sorts of choices now. So you have 10 categories. If you haven't used,
it keeps rolling. It keeps rolling.
So if you're joining in now, you have 10 categories to get your 3. And it's average a project a month, and enter them in.
Yes, it's fun. I find that in general, I can pick things that I want to knit, not that not doing something specifically for the category wouldn't be something that I want to knit, but then I can fit it in, right? So I was trying to think of the 2 that I've already done this quarter. I used some of that old 716 knit that was very old stash. And what was the other one that I did that I was like, oh, well, that fits perfectly relative to, I modified a pattern because I made those mitts with the sock with the sock motif, which was heavily modifying a pattern, but modifying the pattern nonetheless.
My modified pattern is a little bit of a funny story. I am twinning with Kirsten, and it's her pattern, building blocks, and I like had a brain fart because kitties were on my mind, not the pattern, and she's like, you're really modifying. So
Yes,
now
I am.
I'm modifying it a little bit more intentionally now, because
Yeah.
it really was unintentional. Like, I had screwed up the pattern. It was not, and I was gonna plan on making them mismatched anyway. So I have some mismatched socks that are going to be my modification.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well, we also have the self-striping, which you have the self-striping to pulled up. Ooh.
So this is one of the Woolens and Nosh new colorways. It's Misty Morning Walk on the Beach.
Mm-hmm.
So I got that in. I don't want to say it was the last update because I don't follow all the updates, but it was a very recent update.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so we're super excited about that springy, summery color there for your walking on the beach.
Yes. And the winner there was Pam, PK Jewelry.
Hey.
Yeah. It was, was what?
Pat and Pam, right?
Yeah, not Pat. It was, I wrote down Pam specifically so that I would remember, not to get Pat too excited. That would be frustrating to hear your name called and then be like, oh, she means Pam. But yeah, no, some lovely projects there from Pam, from Pat as well.
Right.
But yeah, it's always fun. She had so I did the random number generator, and it was, even if it had been like one more or one less, she had entered like a block of
Oh, okay.
So it was like, okay, well, this was destined for you.
It's also a strategy, right? Just to get yourself a nice little block in the list.
It was hers and hers alone. It was meant for her. So
absolutely. Yeah. So that's still going on. I am keeping up with it. I have my April socks, or the Funhouse socks. So
yeah, those are fun.
Yeah. I am most of the way through one sock. I'm hoping that I'll manage a second one. I've been splitting my time equally between 3 projects right now. And then all of a sudden a crocheted bucket hat slipped on the hook. And I'm like, okay, you go back to focusing on the ones you have to finish in April.
Yeah. I am like way caught up. I think I have 6 of the self-striping done, between making the mitts, and then I took some Woolens and Nosh. I have a whole series of photos. I should probably post them somewhere of me knitting in Paris, right? Like, I'll knit on top of a mechanical elephant, I'll knit on top of the Eiffel Tower, I'll knit on a train, I'll knit in a castle, I'll knit in at the Louvre, I'll knit by so my daughter took pictures of me. But one of my favorite things is the fanny pack. I traveled all over Paris with it, and I used it as a sling, and the sock came out. And yeah, this was like a cheap from Amazon one. It looks kind of sparkly here. But I got stopped a couple of times by people thinking that I was actually from Paris and speaking to me in France, or French, sorry. So I think I was on trend, maybe. But then when the knitting came out, there was always a lot of like people pointing, and but there's so much waiting in line there's like 2 security checkpoints at the Eiffel Tower. There was a line to get up to the top level. There's a line to, get in. There's a line. It's just so much line waiting. So the knitting went with me everywhere. And rather than like carrying a side little bag, like everything was in here, right? My money, as well as my so I took Woolens and Nosh Falling in Love. So I have my Falling in Love socks, Falling in Love with Paris socks.
Very nice.
I cast them in Paris. But yeah, you can make a lot of progress on a sock in a day when you're waiting in lines for hours.
Yeah. Well, I think one of my favorite things is our weather here in Minnesota. We have had people are calling it false spring because it's getting hot, or false summer at this point.
Yeah.
It's been in the 80s the last day or two. And yeah, but I think by the weekend we're going to be back to 50s.
Yeah.
But 50s is still warm. I'm going to keep reminding myself of that as we do this 30-degree drop here over the next few days. But I have been really enjoying the weather.
Yeah.
It's
Having the windows open is
mood.
awesome.
Yeah.
I'm trying to not to parallel my journey with your cat at all, but I've been trying to coax Cal back to health. She is pretty, the Calathea ornata, but she high maintenance. So she's not happy. I think for a while I was overwatering her, and now I'm trying to give some humidity by misting several times a day. I don't know if she's not getting enough light. Like she's not happy. And then I left for a week and watered her once and thought, well, maybe she'll be happier because maybe I was overwatering her. Nope, her leaves are starting to crinkle more, and but having the window open, I feel like is helpful at least. So
yeah, I was gonna
warmer.
say it's been pretty dry for as hot, like we're used to humid hot, and this has been kind of a dry hot. I would say that I'm excited to put my Boston fern outside because she too is struggling.
Yeah.
Poor shorty. It needs humidity. It needs a suggestion that I was given, and I don't know how well it's working, but I'm trying my best, is I put a container of rocks and then water in the rocks, and then you sat the plant on top of the rocks, and it's just to give ambient moisture to the plant. That was given to me by the people at Sargent's. I am, but she doesn't look any better. And I have a feeling like, how like it feels like, oh, it started out looking like this, and now it's starting to look, thinner, like less full, not as like bright. But I will say the other plants are doing great. I highly recommend the lipstick plants for beginners. Spot on, beautiful, easy to take care of. And then I grabbed a Hoya, and a little bit more expensive, but also very easy to take care of.
Yeah. I'm just feeling bad for Cal. I don't enjoy killing plants. She's still like, so they're called prayer plants because in the day they lower their leaves, and at night they bring them back up, and she's still doing that. So she's not so unhappy that she's not doing that, but the heliotropic movement with the light and whatever. But yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. We'll see. But having the windows open and have it be warm, I'm thinking is a little bit more like what she's looking for. So providing some humidity and going from there.
Yeah, no, I think that I think my fern will be happy when I can set her outside and not worry about frost and anything bad happening. And she'll bounce back. But for right now, I'm taking care of the other kids and the plant kids, and they're good. They're happy. I'm gonna say that like I can see like, oh, I'm not quite doing the best at keeping them 100% all the time, but they're telling me something, right? Like, look at me, I need more water, So I'm learning to read when they need things, and they're very forgiving. So thank you, lipstick plants, for being very forgiving. And not needing a whole lot of water. You water them every 7 to 10 days. They're great plants.
Yeah. So third time's a charm for Woolens and Nosh today. We gave away a skein. I talked about my falling in love that was Woolens and Nosh. And then I also got her self-striping club.
Oh, okay.
And so this was the first of the self-striping club. This is Butterfly Nebula. She posted it pretty. Worked up. So this black is really cool. Like the stripe has a little bit of that white that comes into play. To kind of get like a more of a marl, but like less of a strong, like, black toe or heel. And then, the pinks and the purples and the black there. I really love when there's like a a strong stripe in there to really make the other ones pop. Subtle stripes are cool too, but don't get me wrong. But this one's on the Tarky base, and yeah, the first time I think I've gotten maybe not the first time, but the mini with the mane. So excited about that, and excited to see more of those coming. And then I had my La Bien-Aimée. So yep, Paris, France. I went a little crazy, again, carrying a lot of it around. It felt a little crazy, but it had so many bright colors and so many unique bases, right? Realized that after like I paid, I was like, oh, I paid for VAT, right? Versus paying for shipping. Which I think I probably could have like stopped at the airport and got that back or something. I don't know. It wasn't worth the effort at that point. But this is, and again, it's all in French on the label. But this is a base that they're onyx base. So 50 grams is 554 yards. It's 70% mohair. And then at the core is a black silk thread. Black silk core dye. Yeah. Silk core dyed black. So really kind of interesting. I don't know if the camera's picking it up as much as the real eye does, but like there's like almost kind of a zebra effect, right? With a black core and then the pink around the outside of it. Don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I'm excited to have 1,000 yards to do something with it. Maybe hold it with something else, or do one of those you're probably not going to be able to see it, but do one of those mohair, more like the Love Note, right? Or the ranunculus, just a mohair sweater. And then I fell in love. I picked up so many different bases in this colorway. I think it's the Cocoa cuts, COKKO, or KOKKO. And again, it's much more mellow than this. It's kind of got a brown or black undertone to it. But this is the Helix space that is Falkland and Gotland, 75% Falkland, 25% Gotland. And 100 grams is 710 yards. So it's a very kind of lace weighty, more rustic, less like, oh, really, really soft, but really, I really like it. I think it'll be a nice, the structure of it will have, will show up nicely. Like if I made like a lace top or something, something terrific. And then this one jumped in as I was checking out. It's her Cashmerino base, in the Life Aquatic. So just blue, and it is very, very soft.
Okay. Yeah, I around Thanksgiving I had bought some Le Ben-Ami from Eat Sleep Knit. No. Darn it anyway. That's right. I was like the Minnesota one in Stillwater. Okay. Darn it anyway. And it's like this really deep green lace weight, but it's a very different base. Like it was the base that attracted people. I don't think
is it the Helix base? Is it the same?
I don't think it is, because the label's different. But but I'll let you know after, because it's like I'd have to get up and we don't have time for that.
Yes. And then she has the stickers. I think she had them at Stitches on the bike. But like, so the bag obviously was, I'm like, okay, I rode my bike in Paris and I'm excited about this. So, and love the color. But she said it's got in the little speech bubble, it says, merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup. Thank you. Thank you very much. So yeah, I loved it. So. But yeah, this went all over the Louvre with me, and don't regret a thing.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I'm a little low on favorite things, yarny things, but I did think that I don't think I've shared this with anybody. The So Fibers was having Un Besito Fibers was having a little like sale, and a not so little sale, because I think that each of these was like $13. So
Wow.
I have no idea if that's still going on. I apologize if you guys didn't hear about it, but I went a little nuts. So I got these
Woo!
three beautiful peaches.
Yes.
And then my plan was to do one of those Notion sweaters where you take DK held double, but now I don't feel like knitting something that thick.
Yeah.
And marl with another peachy so that it would be kind of a uniform color, but have some
Oh,
interest.
yeah. Some speckle
Um,
on the one.
yeah, speckle on the one, and they're slightly different peaches. This is more peachy and this is a little pinker,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that together they will be an amazing marl, but also could be interesting as stripes if I decide to do a nice, because there's 6 skeins, I could do a nice big sweater. I think that this is enough to do longer sleeves in that Notion. So I either way, I have really enjoyed that purchase. And then I also bought, you had spoken of mohair. I bought 3 skeins of bright pink.
Ooh.
And I bought a plummy color to try to hold double with it to make
Yeah.
an overall mohair sweater, like a
Full on.
full-on garment, not just a crop top or a tiny, like I think I've got a lot of mohair, but they weren't a full-on sweater. So my plan is to use that in a full-on sweater with some plummy yarn I bought. And the plummy yarn's not anything special. I think it was a Malabrigo that I just picked up for the sole purpose of being the core with that mohair to let it sing and play. So yeah, that's something that brought me a lot of joy. I don't know what it is about this color lately, but I have bought way too much of this color.
I get it. I get it. I've been plotting and planning my pinks for sure, right? And then like I went back and we were chatting about it on VKN, and it's like I make a lot of summer tops with those pinky colors, right? So like I think I could pick out like 5 to 10 short sleeve summer tops that I've made with those pinky peachy colors this time of year, because it's like, oh, it's starting to get warm and oh, I want it. And then I pick up the either last year it was the Gigi inspired orange with a little bit of pinkies in it. And then just years past. A lot of pinks and peaches this time of year. It must be in the air in Minnesota.
Yeah. You're reminding me of some stuff I had to do later, but not here nor there. And yeah, I'm excited. I for some reason fell into a couple twinning projects, and I'm also knitting with a pink. What's the base? Coleman from Queen City Yarns. I forgot how wonderful that base is. So lovely. And there's so many summer tops that I think like, oh yes, I should use that base in that top. I think a couple people are making the geometric, and I think that one was really it's simple, it's understated, it would be beautiful over a dress. So I am contemplating that sweater in a Coleman here shortly after I get this sample knit done.
Until you have to turn the heat back on.
Huh?
Until you have to turn the heat back on. That's what one of Jeremy's coworkers was like, I enjoy this weather, but having to turn the air conditioning on and the heat on in the same window of 5 days, like hurts my my economic soul. So
True enough.
We'll see what we feel like the next time that we meet, what
absolutely.
we're actually knitting versus what we feel like knitting right now.
But yeah, I guess, things are making me happy. Absolutely, that follow along those yarn sales. If you're in the Minneapolis, Minnesota area, the Shop Hop is going on right now, and we have some friends of the podcast that are in that Shop Hop, including Darn It Anyway. So I think
and Northfield Yarn, yeah.
I don't know if Northfield is in it. Is Northfield in
I
it
saw
this time?
Narwhal this morning in their newsletter. So
Oh, okay. Okay, perfect. I think that last year when I went, they weren't in it. So awesome that they're in
yeah,
it this year.
stop on the way up to the Twin
And
Cities.
Narwhal, I mean, how can you beat Narwhal? That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So,
But yeah, definitely exciting. I might check out a few shops, not near the craziness of last year. I lost my guide. Sarah started a new job, so she's not shopping hopping this year, but she did promise next year. So we're
Laura
gonna
jumped
shop
in and
our
said
house.
it's the first year that Northfield is participating. So,
Oh wow, okay, so it wasn't. I was correct.
you were.
I didn't
But I
forget
was
them
also
last year.
correct because I read my email this morning and saw the narwhals.
Yeah,
So,
no,
yeah, sea creatures, I think, is the theme. So,
I stuck up my thumb and then I'm like, oh, I have a Band-Aid on.
all right, we have been
All right.
chatty, but we've had
Yep.
quite a few weeks of pent up favorite things. So,
Yep. All right. Bye.
bye, Ufta.
I
All
did
righty.
draw